A calm Sunday morning in a Rio cafe suddenly turned into chaos. A young robber walked in and told everyone to hand over money. People froze, but what the robber didn't know was that a police officer was sitting right there at a table wearing a yellow cap and acting like everything was normal. His wife also pretended that nothing was happening. The officer watched carefully. He didn't rush. He waited until the robber walked toward the cashier and became distracted. Then he stood up fast, pulled out his weapon, and ordered the robber to stop. Instead of surrendering, the robber fired. The officer fired back. 4 shots echoed inside the cafe, and everyone hid under the tables. Even after getting hit, the robber tried to fire again. The officer stayed alert and shot once more to protect everyone. Finally, the robber gave up and tossed his gun to the floor. But something strange happened next. A customer grabbed the robber's gun and pointed it by accident toward his own wife while trying to hand it to the officer. People online later said this was extremely risky. 2 robbers thought a gas station would be an easy place to steal from. They must have imagined a quick in-and-out job, but they forgot one important thing: gasoline can fight back. They tried to rob a man who was filling his car, but he used the fuel pump as a weapon. He sprayed gasoline all over their van and their clothing. The robbers panicked because suddenly everything smelled like danger and fire. Another group of robbers thought they had a brilliant plan. They stole an entire safe. Yes, the entire thing. But the safe was incredibly heavy. They pushed, lifted, and struggled to stuff it into their car. It took an entire team, and even then, they could barely move it. Once they finally got it in, they forgot something important: how to keep it in place. They didn't bring straps to tie it down. So the moment they started driving, the safe fell right out of the back. At an ATM in Sri Lanka, one robber tried to break into the machine while his partner waited outside on a wobbly scooter. Suddenly, security guards arrived. A huge fight exploded inside the small space. There were punches, shouting, and even a shotgun that appeared during the struggle. The robber tried to escape on the scooter, but the guards didn't quit. They kept fighting him, pushing him back, and blocking the door. The scooter driver tried to help, but he couldn't do anything. The robbers eventually gave up because the guards were too determined. One thief seemed confused about what he even wanted to steal. Instead of taking money or something valuable, he grabbed a random household appliance, something like a microwave or speaker, and ran off with it. He stacked it on top of other stolen items as if he were building a pile of junk. But the manager walked up calmly, grabbed the item right out of the truck, and went back. A man in Georgia tried to rob a GameStop with a disguise that made the entire town laugh. He wore a clear plastic bag over his head. Not a black one, not a cloth mask, a transparent bag you could see straight through. His entire face was visible, like he wasn't even trying. He handed the cashier a note and took items from the store. But the funniest part was how useless the disguise was. The security cameras captured every inch of his face. The police posted the video online saying, "You can help us catch him after you finish laughing." A robber walked into a convenience store, acting confident. He came up to the register and pulled out a knife. He must have thought the clerk would get scared and hand over the money, but she didn't. Instead, she reached under the counter and pulled out a knife twice the size of his. It looked like she brought a sword to a steak knife fight. The robber stared for a moment, shocked. Then he realized that he had absolutely no chance. He didn't argue. He didn't try again. He just ran straight out the door. The clerk didn't even chase him. She just watched him flee, her giant knife still raised. A man tried to rob a bank by handing the teller a demand note. But right after he did, a security wall shot up from the counter and blocked him. The system completely ruined his plan. He panicked and ran for the exit, but he didn't realize the door opened by pulling, not pushing. He kept pushing harder and harder, thinking he was trapped. He finally gave up and stood there waiting for the police, believing there was no escape. Then an old lady entered the bank normally by pulling the door open. The robber looked shocked, but it was too late. He had already surrendered. In another robbery fail, a man tried hiding his face by wearing a cardboard box over his head. It looked silly, but was also clever, until the box fell off. The moment it dropped, the cameras caught his face perfectly. He continued the robbery even though he knew he'd been exposed. He took items, walked around, and acted like the camera didn't matter. But of course they did. His entire identity was recorded. When police watched the footage, they didn't have to guess at anything. One robber in Brazil thought he found the perfect hiding spot, the sewer system. He believed no one would look for him there. He even seemed proud of his idea. But the second he looked up, he spotted a giant security camera staring straight at him. His face changed instantly. All that confidence vanished. He realized that he had basically filmed himself hiding. Instead of escaping, he had delivered evidence directly to the police. A man tried to disguise himself as a construction worker by wearing a bright high-visibility vest. He walked around the area calmly, acting as if he was checking something important. But the moment he looked up and saw a security camera recording him, he froze. His disguise stopped working instantly because the camera clearly caught his face. Realizing his plan wouldn't work, he backed away without attempting anything else. The robbery ended before it even began. A man tried to run out of a store with a basket full of items, but the moment he reached the exit, it was clear the door wasn't going to move at all. He pushed and pulled, but the door stayed completely stuck, not budging even an inch. While struggling to force it open, his leg twisted badly and he ended up injuring himself right there at the doorway. The basket he was holding looked like it wasn't even groceries but possibly drinks or energy drinks, making the whole scene even more pointless. Instead of escaping, he was left on the floor with a painful leg and a failed attempt. One stubborn door was enough to shut down his entire plan. A robber in Kentucky pointed a gun at a hotel receptionist and demanded money. After she handed him the bills, he made a huge mistake and placed his gun on the counter to gather the cash with both hands. The receptionist saw the perfect chance and grabbed the gun before he noticed. When he looked up and realized he was now unarmed, he panicked and ran out of the building immediately. He didn't get the money, and the police caught him later. His entire plan ended because he misplaced his own weapon. At a Starbucks in California, a masked robber came in with a knife and a fake gun. He threatened the cashier and tried to take the money, but a customer sitting nearby reached quickly and grabbed a metal chair. He swung it straight into the robber's back, knocking him forward. A struggle followed, and both of them suffered cuts, but the robber couldn't continue his plan. He ran out of the store injured and was later arrested. A simple chair was enough to shut down the entire robbery. A woman in a neighborhood was talking about how someone had stolen a dog named Titus. While she was explaining it, the thief himself walked right past her with the stolen dog. She immediately asked how he knew the animal, and his fake story didn't convince her at all. She calmly called the police right in front of him while he stood there frozen in shock. Realizing he was caught, he tried to walk away, but officers arrived soon after. The thief was caught just because he accidentally walked into the person discussing his crime.